All right, hello everyone again. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to talk about North Africa and the Middle East. Direct you to some readings that you will need to utilize in order to answer the questions. Okay, so I will go ahead and I will do that for you guys. Again, if you do have any questions, as always, just ask me. But I'm going to show you how to access the readings. They're very straightforward to access, and also to talk about Arab Spring and the Kurds, so that way you can answer all the questions. Now, North Africa has had political unrest with the Arab Spring. Now, again, the countries that are within it are Egypt, Libya, Tunisia, Algeria, Morocco, Western Sahara, okay? Now, these countries here are transition countries between North Africa and the Middle East because they have elements from both realms, okay? So, if you're looking at for question number 3, there are 2 parts to it, okay? Part 1 is looking at why did Arab Spring occur in the realm. You have to give me 2 factors why, okay? 2. And then how did the oil trade lead to income inequality and uprisings related to Arab Spring? Again, you'll have to give me 2 factors, okay? I'll show you exactly where to access the information because I was going to pass out copies in class in order to answer both questions, okay? So, what is Arab Spring? Arab Spring refers to political uprisings that occurred in 2010 to 2011, okay? So what happened is you had the youth, you also had social media heavily involved. They wanted to, overthrow the governments, okay? And they wanted to have freedom. Now, when you look at the readings, you're going to see why specifically Arab Spring occurred. But I will say this, as started in Tunisia, simply from a vendor there, his vending, business got knocked over, and that's what led to Arab Spring in Tunisia and then spread throughout other countries, okay? So Ben Ali, the leader of Tunisia, was forced out. Now, that's going to be part 1. Again, 2 factors why I started. For part 2, you have to explain how the oil trade led to income inequality and also led to Arab Spring. Unlike oil trade here in the United States, and in particular here in Weld County, where there's a lot of oil here. I mean, 90% of the state is in this county. However, you're not having the problems the same as the Middle East, okay? I mean, here's some questions to ask. Is the oil taxed in those countries, Egypt, Libya, etc., in order to benefit school districts like the Greeley School District, Windsor, Pawnee District, etc.? Is it benefiting the colleges like here at Ames? Is it also leading to more public transportation? Is it leading to better buildings? Is it improving the quality of life? Remember, the income here is about $80,000 because of oil. Okay, that's an average income there for working in the oil industry. So you have to think of it from that perspective too. I want to show you some pictures. So this is from Tunisia right here, and this is from Yemen. Okay. So again, you're going to answer both these questions. So let me show you how to access them here because again, it can be a little confusing, okay? For the Fallacian textbook, okay, it will have more on the really differences overall with regards to looking at oil and income inequality. I would suggest using this one here, okay, for looking at specifically, the Arab Spring. So I'm going to go here. I'm going to download the book. You will need to download it. So let me scroll down here. Okay, whoops. Okay. You'll need to go to digital PDF. Okay, let it download. It's pretty quick, and I'll show you exactly where the reading's at. Now, I'm gonna scroll now to the page. The pages are right here at the top. I'm gonna scroll to page 488. Again, 488. That's where it's at. Again, page numbers. You have to look for right there at the right hand corner. Okay, let me get to it better here. There we go. So it says Arab Spring of 2011. Read this right here, okay? It's going to explain what happened, okay? So then stop right here, okay? So you need to read this right here, and it will explain, let me go back to it again, why Arab Spring occurred. So make sure that you do read that in its entirety, okay? So make sure that you do read that, okay? So I'm going to go ahead now and exit out of here, okay? Exit out of here. I'm going to go back. Okay, if you click the back button there, it'll take you back to D2L. For the Finlayson book here, okay, I'm going to show you where to access it here, okay. It talks about the oil inequality, okay. Again, I know these are not labels, are not, the best, okay. We'll then talk about, the oil inequality that's also occurring here within the realm. Okay, so again, you'll also get the oil inequality, along with Arab Spring. So let me go down here. Of course, it's on that same area there. Hold on just a minute. So again, it does have a little bit about Arab Spring here too, but again, not as long as the other one, okay? But it will talk about with regards to, the oil trade here. So let me go ahead and keep going. Whoop. Once she redid the book, it should be in here, so please be patient with me. I will look at it. Here we go. Okay, just be patient with me. I do apologize for this. Again, they can change it whenever. Okay, so here it is. She did change it a little bit, okay? So it will actually start right here. It says today Saudi Arabia remains, okay? So it'll start here, okay? Now, what you'll need to do is you'll need to then read this, okay? I'll scroll down right here, okay? And again, it will talk about it right here with regards to the oil trade, okay? So again, just make sure that you do read that, okay? And again, it will help you explain the income inequality aspect, okay? So again, just make sure that you do read that, okay? Again, I do apologize for that. So what I'm going to do now, so what I want you to do now is just pause the video, okay? And then we'll continue with Egypt. So you finished up the question. I'm now briefly going to go into Egypt, okay? The Suez Canal was very vital, okay, because what it did is it allowed for people, instead of going around Africa, they were able to travel through the Mediterranean and go through the canal there. Again, it's right here, okay, with the Sinai Peninsula, go through the Red Sea and go to India instead of having to go around Africa. So what it allowed for was, quick travel, shaving months off, traveling by boat in order to access India. So that's why it is a very vital there, okay? Now, the Aswan Dam is also very important in Egypt. It's right here. What's allowed for is a good portion of the electricity there to be produced within Egypt, okay? It also allowed for different types of irrigation, both basin irrigation and perennial. Basin's year-round and perennial, okay, basin, is annually, and then perennial is year-round, okay? So that's what's allowed for. And again, here is the Aswan High Dam. Now, the Maghreb countries in Libya, when I refer to the Maghreb countries, I'm referring, of course, to Morocco, Algeria, and Tunisia, and then it includes Libya as well. Okay, now the coastal areas are influenced by the Mediterranean Sea, so that's why the coastal areas have a more moderate climate when compared to, the interior, which is a desert-like climate. Okay. And again, Libya, of course, is where you had a terrorist attack in 2011 that killed Ambassador Stevens. It was under control by Gaddafi for, quite a while, okay? And he actually even had sponsored terrorism. Now, he was overthrown during Arab Spring. However, we actually don't know who actually, went after, Ambassador Stevens. It was a resistance group that was, not only anti-Gaddafi, but anti-other democracy groups, and that's, of course, what killed Ambassador Stevens. So I'm going to heart of the Middle East, okay, especially with the Kurds, okay. Refer to the heart of the Middle East. We are referring to Iraq, okay, Syria, Jordan, Israel, and Lebanon. And of course, stateless nations of the Kurds and the Palestinians. And I'll explain what those terms mean here in just a minute. So simply put, a binational state is when you have more than one ethnicity within a country, okay? So for example, the United States is an example of a binational state. We have multiple ethnicities here in our country. Canada would be an example. Argentina would be an example. The United Kingdom, Russia, China, because again, they have more than one national group within it, okay? Very straightforward. A stateless nation is a nation, remember, people of the same ethnic identity, that's the definition of a nation, that do not have a homeland, okay? Good examples of this would be the Kurds and the Palestinians, okay? They are two nations that do not have a homeland, okay? Largest one is the Kurds in the world. A part nation state is that when you feel unity, among people of the same ethnic identity, and it goes beyond the country's boundaries, okay? So you feel a feeling of unity among the same ethnic identity that goes beyond the country's boundaries. The best example that I can think of would be people who are Italian descent. Okay, it goes beyond just Italy. It goes into the United States, particularly New Jersey and Connecticut and New York, and also in Argentina. So you have a lot of people there who are of Italian descent. So again, the Kurds are a good example in North Africa and the Middle East. You could also argue the Basque here within Spain, okay? So those are good examples there of stateless nations, okay? Here's some other ones too, but those are the big ones. Again, part nation state. People who are Arabic descent feel connected with one another. Again, one of the reasons why Arab Spring also occurred too. But again, it goes beyond the country's boundaries. Let me show you the Kurds here. Again, it's a little bit older, as it still shows the Soviet Union. However, their boundaries have not changed, okay? You can clearly see here in Iran, Iraq, Syria, and Turkey, there is a geographic region where people are majority Kurd, okay? So it is there. So here's what I want you guys to do, okay? I want you to read, okay, the pages here within the book, okay? It actually talks about the Kurds here. Okay, this... So again, they're changing the page numbers on us, okay? And I want you to look at, okay, do you think the Kurds will have a homeland in the near future, or the Kurds will not have a homeland, okay? I really want you to look at this because this is important. The question is, will they or will they not have a homeland? Watch the video, okay? I want you to give 3 factors for the question. Again, I'll pull it up. I want you to give 3 factors for question number 4, and I want you to answer yes or no that the Kurds will or will not have a homeland in the future. Watch the video carefully, okay? Because there's a lot of information. I want you to really think about, okay, the aspects related to ISIS, or that they fought ISIS, because ISIS is almost defeated. What about, do they have enough oil there to sustain themselves? Would they be able to, sustain as a whole? Or are there too many problems? Because Turkey has already said, as soon as the Kurds have a homeland, Turkey's declaring war on them, okay? It's a little bit different in Scotland, okay? Because, again, Scotland's not in a military war zone with regards to the Kurds, okay? So go ahead and stop here, okay? I want you to answer the question, and then we'll come back. We'll finish up with Iraq and Lebanon. Okay, so welcome back, everyone. As you saw with the Kurds, Iraq does have a sizable Kurd population, okay? But for a long time, okay, the Sunni minority ruled the country, okay? And you actually had two wars that happened here in Iraq. In 1990, you had the Gulf War because Iraq invaded Kuwait over accessing oil, okay? And then the United States went in, okay? In about a year, we beat them. I still remember to this day seeing the parade during the National Mall when we won. And also, actually, I went into the National Mall. Again, this was in 1990, 1991, actually climbing the tank. They wouldn't allow that anymore, of course. And what's interesting, too, is that you also had the war there from 2003 to 2010, supposedly because of weapons of mass destruction. However, when the United States pulled out, then you had ISIS going throughout Iraq, although, again, Iraq has been fighting them back. Okay? And then for Lebanon, it was one time called the Switzerland of the Middle East because of its banking and wealth output. However, then you had religious conflicts and civil wars within Lebanon. There is no religious majority in the country. Again, there is no religious majority. Where you can see it's there between the Christian, Shia, and Sunni and the Druze religions there. Okay, so you do have a couple of different ones there. And again, when during the 70s and 80s, and even again going back to the 20s, you had a lot of people from Lebanon immigrate to Detroit and Toledo to work in the factories. Okay, so you did have a lot of people immigrate during the 20s, but you also had during the civil wars that occurred within here. Okay, so I'm going to stop this video for now, and then we'll go into Israel and Palestine.